Hello, welcome to our very first chat with a featured author for the 2021 Summer Reading Challenge. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday, or whenever you happen to be watching this, if you're watching it later. Just a couple of little things as we wait for some people to hop on and as we wait for our featured author for this week to join us. The Summer Reading Challenge is something that I've done. This is my fourth year doing this. And I started it on my Facebook page, and so until this year, that's where it was. But this year, I added over here on Instagram. So now, either place, wherever you like to hang out, we get together and we talk about books throughout the week. This is a 7-week challenge, and it has 2 parts to the challenge. So one part is for you just to be involved and active in the posts, commenting, and just chatting about books, really. It's just a lot of fun. And that's one way to be a participant in it and to win some weekly prizes when we have our featured authors and to get to know these featured authors. That's another really cool thing about this. And then the other way to participate in the Summer Reading Challenge is I have a list of categories, book categories. So the more books you read in those categories, the better you'll do. And it's just a lot of fun to see how many books we can read in the summer and share about those. So those are all in my stories. I have story highlights. If you go to my profile, you can just click on that and you'll see all the featured authors and the books that they write. You'll see all of the book categories, okay? And all of these things, that's all right there in the highlights on my Instagram page. Or if you're over on Facebook, the pinned profile or post, I guess is what you call it. The pinned post is where all of those things are as well. So that's a little bit about the Summer Reading Challenge. So I will just, as I'm waiting for Stacie to join us, which I cannot wait. So Stacie and I met, I'm trying to remember, I think it's been a few years ago. And we met at the Louisiana Book Festival. So, oh, I see Stacie now. Let me see if I can figure out how to add her in here. See, I haven't done this before, so I'm learning as I go. If anybody has any tips for me, feel free to help me out there. Yes, yay. All right, Stacie is joining us now. Yay, hello.
Good morning. Hello, it worked.
We did it.
First time too.
No, so we're learning this together. So
Yes.
yeah, great. So I was just saying how I can't remember when we met, but it's been a couple of years ago at the Louisiana Book Festival.
You're right. I want to say it was 2018.
That sounds right. Yes. Yeah. Good memory.
And you had a table and in your book, Any Good Thing, and my kids and I were walking right by and we just started chatting.
Yes, it's so cool. And we live like 20 minutes away from each other, so it's just crazy. All right, so I'm going to just kind of jump in. So I've already let people know a little bit about the Summer Reading Challenge, and I'll come back to that in a minute about ways that you can win and stuff like that. But I just want to start talking to you about your books. So why don't you just introduce yourself and your books a little bit?
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me, Joy. I apologize. My voice is a little off. I have caught another cold. My second one this season after not having anything for a long time. So anyway, hello everybody. My name is Stacie Eirich, and I live here on the North Shore of Louisiana, as you heard, really close to Joy. And I'm originally from up in the Midwest, from Illinois. And I'm excited to be visiting there next month. It's been a long time since we've been able to travel. So looking forward to that. But I've been here in Louisiana 10 years now, and I have 2 children. They are age 11 and 13. So middle grade readers, the same audience as for my trilogy here that you can see behind me. And here we go. I'll pull out the first one. And So I am a former English teacher, and I began writing because I wanted to stay home with the kids, and because that's really what I always wanted to do. So it was about 2015 when I pulled out an old draft of something I had started way back in graduate school around 2005, and this is it. Tiger Kingdom and the Book of Destiny, which became the first book in the Dream Chronicles series for, as I said, middle grade readers about ages 8 to 12, give or take. And this is the second book, Fair Kingdom and the Golden Sword. And then underneath here is the last book, Dragon Kingdom and the Wishing Stone.
Some of my favorite creatures in your books.
Yes, I love animals and magic, and really kind of a classic fantasy sense is what you're going to get in my books. I'm very influenced by the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a total fave, probably the Oz books, and I'm also a huge Harry Potter fan. I have the whole series back here on my bookshelf. So yeah, I've been writing since I was a kid, really, but I never expected to do it for a living. I never expected that I would be able, I guess, to just follow that passionate path. But I'm so blessed and fortunate to be doing that now.
That's awesome. And I love how we've got comments here about liking teachers who write books. I agree. And, I know so many who do that. And I think, especially when you're working with kids and you're writing for kids, it's just a perfect match, I feel like, because as a teacher, you've kind of seen that imagination and the things that spark their interest, and then you're able to translate that into the writing. And of course, as moms, we kind of get the inside scoop on that too.
I certainly hope so, yes. And my kids don't hesitate to give me their opinions on the stories that I write. They're kind of the ones that I go to first, and I read it out loud, and I watch how they react, and maybe say, well, we can share this with your friends a little. So they're sort of like my, my my little my little jumping fish to go to.
That's great. Yes, it is hard to find time. You are right about that. I see that in the comments. So tell us a little bit. Well, actually, you kind of already told us about the Dream Chronicles, but what are you giving away for us this week, our weekly winner?
I'm going to give away the whole trilogy that I just showed you with Tiger Kingdom and Bear Kingdom and Dragon Kingdom. I thought about just giving one or two, and I'm like, no, I want to give them the whole thing. It really is a series that moves along. You have to read one and then the next, and to come to a really culmination of the entire story, you need all three.
Yeah, and I love because Stacie also writes poetry, as I've put in some of my posts, and so she incorporates some poetry in here, and I think that is great because I think it's so important for kids to be exposed to poetry, and I think kids really do like poetry. I think sometimes we think that they don't, but they actually do. So I love that.
And I feel like it should be in schools more. I feel like there should be more connection and interaction with poetry than there is. So I love to bring it to kids. It's probably the first thing. If I make a school visit or a library visit, that's going to be the top thing that I'm bringing is some of my children's poetry.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just a real quick thing, just to let you guys know. So I have weekly winners every week, and that's based on points. And you get points when you comment on any of the posts that we have throughout the week. So you can go back either on Instagram or Facebook, either place, wherever you like to hang out, and just comment on some of the posts and see what Stacie's written there, because she's commented as well. She's in the chat there talking to everyone. And that's how you kind of accumulate the points. And then on Sundays when I'll announce this week's winner of her books. And I do have this available to some international countries, okay? It's in all of the my terms and conditions. All of the details are there, and that link is in like everything. It's also right in my bio. So if you're on Instagram, just go to that bio. It's right there. It's the very first link in my link tree. On Facebook, same thing. It's like in all the posts. Super simple to get to. So if you have any questions, though, just let me know. But I wanted to throw that out there. And for international, if we have an international winner, then that will be an ebook instead of the print. And that's the way we're doing that this year. But I'm excited that we're kind of opening it up a little bit more because in the past it's just been in the US. So that's a new thing this year too. So, all right. Next question for you, Miss Stacie. What do you love most about being an author?
Oh, definitely getting the chance to share my stories with readers and, not just have that manuscript gathering dust in a shelf or, in my computer or still in my head. Getting the chance to actually have feedback from those readers is amazing. I definitely do read every review that I'm sent or that I come across, and I'm so grateful for each one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge thing. Just being able to get those words out there because that's the point. That's why we write them. We want people to read them.
Right. We write for connection. We write to share.
Yeah. So you mentioned the book reviews. What do you appreciate most about book reviews? Because that's something that I really want to encourage readers. If you don't write reviews, please do that. They're so helpful for other readers and they're also helpful for authors.
Definitely. Definitely. I think that's when I can really feel that connection and resonate with those, whether they're young or old. It doesn't matter. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you're 40 something and you're reading middle grade books, which is great. I do it all the time. So I love to hear from adult readers as well as kids. Of course, hearing from kids is really special. And I think you get a very, very honest review always from kids, which is what I want. And, I want to know when did they laugh? Did they, cry? What did they get emotional about? What did they connect with? What characters did they really love and maybe want to see in another story? I mean, it could give you great ideas to write some more.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so we have a question in the comments that I'm just going to pull from real quick. What is your students' most favorite title from your books? Or maybe this could be a question for what is your kids? What's their favorite title from your books?
Wow, I don't see my kid. Hey, Dylan.
We're going to pull him in here.
Yeah, he's awake. My 13-year-old is not. So.
Yeah, same here. Our kids are the same ages, which is really funny. So.
Oh, he says give him a second. Okay. Well, I'm gonna guess that it's the dragon, but I could be wrong. But I'm thinking it is maybe the Dragon Kingdom book that he would like the most. But Miss Joy has a question for you. This is Dylan.
Hi, Dylan. What's up?
So Joy asked me a question. She says, what would be your favorite title of the books that I've read? Or which one was your favorite?
So I really like the
Tell the camera here.
the Book of Destiny.
Oh, Kingdom, the Book of Destiny, the first one. Okay, I thought you might go with dragons. No? Okay.
That's awesome. I love it. So see, you're learning something here today too.
I think he's a little groggy. He just got up too. He slept in.
That's nice. That's the good thing about summer, right?
Oh, bedtime has just all gone out the door and they've been up real late at night.
I hear you. Oh my goodness. All right, so I have another question going back to book reviews. I love what you said about, how people can share like what they liked and the places where they connected and things like that. Do you have any other tips for readers when they write a book review?
I'd say when I'm reading a book knowing I'm going to write a review at the end, I'm really paying attention to not only what I liked, the characters I liked, but where I felt something. Like I said before, where did I start laughing? Where did I read it again because I liked it so much and connected with it? Where did it, resonate with me? And by resonate, I mean what feelings are coming out, and what made me think, ooh, I've got to keep reading. I can't put it down, or I want to read the next one if it's a trilogy. Or yeah, I would say look for those moments that just grasp you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. The emotions are so important, and it's very helpful for the author because you might think, "Oh, this is a great scene," but you don't know for sure until you get that feedback.
Absolutely. And so and I'm big on, and maybe it's old school, but I'm big on having the physical book and actually, marking with my pencil in it or putting a little sticky note and coming back to that place when I'm writing the review.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Definitely all about the smell of the book.
Definitely. I do. I read on my tablet as well now.
Yeah,
So an e-reader as well as the physical book, but there's still something magical about holding that book in your hands.
yeah, I totally agree with that. So, and as you said, you are a reader, of course. You love to read. So, what are you currently reading?
Well, we mentioned poetry, and I have really been on a poetry craze ever since April, which is National Poetry Month. And during that month, I always celebrate it by writing a poem a day. And I start reading a lot of poetry, and I always read poetry, but I've kind of just continued into summer with poetry. Uh, Here's the two right now that have been on my bedside table, and they're by Miss Mary Oliver. And this is Upstream, a collection of essays that she wrote. So creative nonfiction, that one. And then this is a book of her poetry called Devotions.
I love that. I love the covers. I don't know. There's something about them that's, I don't know. I just love them.
Well, she's all very thoughtful, very nature inspired, which I love. And a lot of my poetry is nature inspired. But she really, I think, gets us to stop and look and listen and take time. I often like to read her work early in the morning or late at night right before I go to bed. It just gives me a real sense of peace and calm and serene beauty.
That makes sense. I love that. So well, I know in a minute before we stop, I was going to have you tell everybody where they can find you all over, but I think now is a really good moment to talk about Wattpad. So tell people where they can find you there because that's where you post those every poem every day in April.
Yeah, you're right. I have begun a few years ago. I went on Wattpad and decided I was going to share short stories and poems that you can't maybe find in my other books there. And my username there, you can find me under my name, under Stacie Eirich, but I also go by Space to Dream. And I have several collections of poetry there that you can read online for free. And I'm writing a summer collection. I really don't have time in the summer with the kids home and other activities to write every single day. But I try to write every other day and post maybe one poem or two a week.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and I do love Wattpad because it's a great place to go and read all sorts of different writers from all over and just get a taste of how they write. And it's a lot of fun.
It is
So,
fun. And
read.
readers there are very interactive. And I've done, fun stuff that I never thought I'd write. I've written fan fiction. Uh, I started writing historical fiction pieces. That was something new for me. But I read a lot of historical, so it made sense that I would give that a try as well.
That's on my list. Like, that's on my writing bucket list. Is that a thing?
Yes, it is. It definitely is. I think I'd love to try some creative nonfiction as well, since my background is academic and I've done a lot of academic writing. I've certainly written a lot of nonfiction, but I want to move into that creative zone with it.
Ooh, we'll have to talk about that because I'm all about the creative
That's another live session. Yeah.
Oh. All right. So one more question for you before we get into where everybody can find you and get more information about you and all that. So what are you working on writing next?
Well, I am writing a piece that you've read a little bit of the very beginnings of, Joy. It is tentatively titled Song of the Stars. It is a fantasy, but this one is for a little bit older readers. It's for YA, so teen readers or young adult is my target audience. And it is really inspired by fairy tales. It's almost a fairy tale retelling. It's very celestial. I love the stars and the planets, and when I was young, I dreamed of being an astronaut. So I think that finds its way still into a lot of my writing. And I'm having a lot of fun with it, but it is moving very slowly. I think it's a piece that a work that I'm going to pick up more in the fall.
Gotcha. Well, it is, from what I've read already, I really enjoy it. I love it. It's magical. And I love how you pull in song and poetry into everything that you write. And for those of you who don't know, Stacie is also a fantastic singer. So music is a huge part of her life, and she brings that into her writing. And I love that. Anytime you have multiple creative interests and you can pull them together, I'm all about that.
Oh, thank you. Yes, you're right. Music is always there and present in pretty much every story. Even if it's in the background somehow, it's there. Every story, every poem I write is very influenced because I do that, and not while I have a cold, but I sing nearly every day as well. In fact, I have a concert premiere, online digital one, coming up at 12:30 today. So that's next live.
You're a busy lady.
I am never expected, especially during the pandemic, I never expected to be. But like I said, I'm so blessed and fortunate that I've kept up a writing life and a singing life and been able to follow my creative passions even through a time when so many people lost what they were doing. Yeah, so I am absolutely blessed.
Yeah. And it's just been amazing. I've loved seeing all of these groups come together and find ways to continue this online when we can't get together and all of that. That's been, yeah, it's been inspirational in itself, I feel like, just to see that.
It has. You wouldn't think that you can connect with hundreds of people from all over the globe on a Zoom screen or Instagram screen or you know, but you can and you do. I've made lots of new friends that I feel that we have real connections and relationships, and I hope it's going to continue as we sing together or write together, or just build friendships.
That's awesome. So why don't you go ahead and tell people kind of your favorite places to hang out, where they can find you online, and probably the best thing is just going in onto Instagram, go and follow her at Stacie Eirich, and then you tell them other places from there.
All right. Well, yes, I've definitely have built up since I began getting serious about writing several years ago. I have built up an online presence. So you can find me here on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. I have a writer page there. You can find me on Twitter. I also have a SoundCloud and a YouTube page. And both of those, yeah, just look up my name and you can find me. I do poetry readings, chapter previews from my books on both of those. So hopefully you'll find me somewhere. And I have a website, just www.stacieeirich.com.
That's great. Thank you so much for doing this with me today. Thank you for being the first to do this and being willing to deal with I'm not really exactly sure how this is going to work, but.
Oh, thank you. It's really a pleasure, and I'm honored for you to have asked me to be a featured author, and I'm happy to share.
Well, thank you. And you guys, please head to our profiles, all of this week's posts. Go back and look through them. There's a One Line Wednesday quote from one of her books is on the Wednesday post, and just all sorts of other good little nuggets in there. So y'all go back and check those out and comment, and we'll see y'all there.
So thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.